Hey guys, before we start, a quick shout out to Alpha Dog Nutrition for sponsoring this podcast. Alpha Dog products are now available at dusupply.com, and you can use code ALPHADOG15 at checkout for 15% off and a credit for free shipping to try it yourself. Now let's get you to your podcast. Couldn't live with them, dude. There is no way, like, I can't handle stuff that close to my face. And Danny decided to get into bees, so now
like claustrophobic.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I don't think of myself as claustrophobic because, like, I prefer to sleep in a mummy bag. I have no problem like sleeping in super tight quarters. Yeah. But I will tell you this: we went to those lava beds in the caves, like the lava tubes. Not my jam, man. Like, I don't know what it was because it's pitch black and you're walking. I got my coon hunting light and everybody's like, well, what's the deal? And I said, I don't know what it is, but it's different than me walking through the mountains at night. Like, there's something about it, like squeezing through and getting down somewhere I'm not supposed to be. I was given 2 feet to stay above surface. I fully believe that.
Yeah.
But like having stuff like close to my face kills me, like those bee nets or like we were talking about those mosquito nets. I would rip it off right away because I couldn't handle it. I feel like I can't breathe. Like, I guess it wasn't all that long ago masks were a thing. I kind of blocked that part of my life out, but like there's no way I was going to wear one, period.
Yeah.
But those mosquitoes are horrible.
Yeah. I'm not much, I don't picture myself as claustrophobic either, but I don't like that shit around.
Not on your face. Like, no. Can't handle it.
Even getting in an MRI tube, like I'm laying there and I'm like, man, I'm not really claustrophobic, but I can see why people freak out in this thing because I don't love this. You know?
100% right.
Yep.
Yeah. But I guess the trade-off is you eat mosquitoes all day.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pack a light lunch then is all, because you're getting a little something all day.
You should start a mosquito. They're selling mosquito meat now, right? Like they're taking bugs. Maybe I saw that on Facebook. I don't know. Some people were scooping up mayflies and they were like,
I did see
into food. Isn't that gross?
So there was a state park somewhere here in Wisconsin because you can't harvest stuff from a state park. And the state park put out a Facebook post that said, just basically reminding everybody that includes mayflies.
Like you can't harvest them.
Yeah, you can. I'm like, seriously? If a bunch of people want to collect some bugs, let them have at it. Like those things are going to be gone in a couple weeks anyways. I don't.
Right?
Yeah,
no kidding.
Just reminding you that it's illegal to harvest stuff from a state park, and it was the mayflies that they were concerned about. It's like unreal.
Government, man. The things that get worried about.
Exactly. Yeah, we don't have anything
crazy.
We don't have anything better to spend our time on, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had to trudge through all the mosquitoes, but you had a good morning.
Yeah, we had a pretty good morning. We had I don't know, some mornings with cold trailing, things happen that I my dogs have been on several bears this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't like giving them layups all the time, putting them on hot bears all the time, because I think a dog can get used to that. And then when they got to work for something, they're like, well, what the hell? There's nothing. There's nothing here, So I didn't want to. I had some layups as options this morning, and I didn't want to do that. I was trying to find something that was going to make them work a little bit while I checked a bunch of baits, and all I had was something that was hit like yesterday afternoon or within an hour. Well, yesterday afternoon, that's a little excessive, I mean, that you're not giving them much chance. So
let's be realistic here.
Yeah, we decided to go back. I decided to go back, and my cousin was with too, and we put them out at a bait that was an hour old, and I don't know. They acted like there was nothing there. Well, finally, they started picking away, and Um, there had been a bear there earlier in the night too. I didn't scroll back to see
What came
exactly
in
what time it
before?
was. I just know when there was a bear there at 5 o'clock this morning, the bait was already hit. Um, and they went out picking away a little bit, and I know it wasn't our old bear because I mean they cold trailed for they were still cold trailing an hour later, so I think they started picking away on that older one, and then
Sure.
I don't know. Then they kind of treed, but I'm like, you know, your dogs. I'm like, there ain't no freaking bear in the tree. Like, son of a bitch.
Did they
There,
surprise you though? Because that'll happen.
no, they did not surprise me.
Oh, okay.
Um, I got like 150 yards from the tree. Well, my cousin walked in with me because he had a couple dogs, and I know the dogs at the tree heard us or smelled us or whatever, and then they just
They're
left
out of there. See
and
you later.
came and met
Bye.
us. Yeah, they came and met us, and it's like, well, son of a bitch. Now I don't even know what they were doing. Um,
Right.
my guess is there was either nothing or it was a coon because a couple dogs weren't even treeing at all. One would tree hard for a little bit and then be quiet for a while. It just, it's like there's nothing worse than walking to a tree, especially when I got soaked because we got tons of water here. There's nothing
Right.
worse than having to go on a long hike knowing like this is
No,
this is
you
not
know
what
it's
it's supposed to
garbage.
be. No,
But
not what it's supposed to be.
you know what though? Every once in a while they will surprise you. I had one. I remember. I don't always wear my boots when I'm hunting. Like I'll put my boots on if I gotta go hiking.
Sure.
Um, so back when we were bear hunting, dogs took off and they were young. Like I was really new in it. I didn't know what they were doing more than barking and running around. Like we hadn't caught a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot. Well, they strike. I let them off the box. They run up the hill, like literally 40 yards in tree. And it's just thick enough. You can't see it. But I'm like, dude, no, let's go. And I'm toning dogs and I can't get them to come back. And they're like, all right, well, I'm telling you, it ain't what we're looking for. My buddy says,
Yeah.
well, I'll just go up and look. And he's like, dude, yeah, they got it. It's right here. It's like, oh, it must have just been laid up. Because in a million years, I would have been like, I was 100% convinced that they were just being stupid.
Yeah.
Especially, when they don't get to see a whole lot. And they probably saw more off game than they did good game at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was blind squirrel
I
finds a nut, I guess.
yeah. I hate those hunts like that because now I think we had 4 different dogs there, 2 of mine and 2 of my cousins, and I
And you
don't
don't
like
know who started it.
exactly. I don't know whose fault. I don't know whose fault it was because they were a ways off the road where you couldn't hear them that good. So I don't know what dog started it. I don't even know what it was. If
Right.
anything, it's like, oh, I hate those because I don't know who to pin it on um or what to
Right.
do in the future, to try to event that or prevent that. And there was no correction.
Right.
But sometimes I think the dogs, they were all except for one, and I'm pretty sure that dog didn't start it. But they're pretty experienced dogs.
Which
I
one was
think
that? Your
dogs.
dog?
No, not my dog. It was my cousin's dog. Um,
The
but
Chris.
yeah, Chris. I think dogs know. You know, they know they didn't get praised for it. Well, just the fact that they came and met us and had
Right.
no interest in going back tells me that they're like, yeah, we're busted.
Yeah, I'm not fessing up to it.
No, but then we did go put them out at a different bait after that and ran a bear, and we had a couple dogs that got behind, um, and they broke off and were just rolling, and it's like, well, they definitely got another bear too, and then the original few dogs, they popped up treat and um, had a nice little boar treat, and then that other little bear, we ran that one for a few more. I think we have put almost 15 miles on that sucker. So we did get some good running in today at least,
That's good.
but the mystery hunts drive me crazy. Thankfully, I mean it's been a long time since I've had something where I'm not sure what happened, and and
It's
hopefully it's a while before
weird.
I have another one.
It's weird though, because like you kind of hit that stride and like everything's going good. And you know, minor hiccups are minor hiccups, but then something comes at you and you're scratching your head. You
Yeah,
know, like what the heck? Like a dog all of a sudden starts barking out of place. It's like, no, you know better than that. What are we
yeah,
doing here? Like, let's try to fix
yeah,
this. You can isolate stuff like that, but slick treeing has got to be the hardest thing to determine for us, right? Like hunting in packs versus hunting a
yep,
single dog. It's pretty easy to
yep,
know when your dog's slick treeing if he's the only one there and he's super
yep,
independent. Where for
yep.
us, it's like, I don't know how it is for you. I mean, like the dogs I'm hunting now, it took so much to get them to tree, really, anyways. I
Sure.
very rarely, like, I'm gonna say it, knock on wood, like, never had them part of a slick tree that I can really think of. There might have been, like, let's say one or two over the last 6 years.
Yep,
But when we were hunting those blue dogs, that was hard because they were just natural, wanted to be tree dogs. And they
yep,
had it a lot of the time. But I noticed as they got older, like when you're slick treeing, I don't know, like I'm sure there's guys out there that can fix it. To me, it's really hard. I didn't know at the time like how to fix a dog of that age that knew what it was supposed to be doing, had proven itself, and then all of a sudden started pulling up slick and making other dogs. And it's like, okay, well, now you're going from being independent to honoring a slick trained dog when you wouldn't honor him when he was right. It's like
yep,
this big just train wreck, and trying to get it
yep.
figured out is a pain.
It
So
it's tough.
what are you going to do? Split them?
Well, we've we've got an idea.
Okay, so we know which dog is doing it. Is what you're
Well,
saying.
no, I'm not going to say that, but thankfully, knock on wood, we we don't have we don't have this very often, which makes it even tougher, right? Because when you
Sure,
have it
because
all the time, yeah, when you have it all the time, it makes it a little bit easier to figure out the common denominator or
for
whatever.
sure.
We've had this happen a couple, maybe twice the last 2 years, and the one dog has always been there.
Mm,
So right now, I would say, he's guilty by association. But the other thing with us too is we have such a big group and different guys. I mean, there's if everybody that could potentially hunt with us was hunting with us, there's probably 50 different dogs. So um, you end up with different combinations of dogs that you don't normally have.
right.
That's a different dynamic too. When I just go out with just my dogs, no other dogs, it, things are a lot more predictable. Um,
Is yeah, it's way more consistent. It's like part
correct.
of the
Yeah.
method. That goes back to the method. It's your just doing things the way that you do things.
Yeah. And my dogs knowing each other and knowing how to respond to each other, and you don't have that competition amongst the dogs quite a bit. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
when you mix a strange dog in, everybody, they got that pecking order they're trying to establish. Everybody wants to be the lead dog. So it, when you start mixing, and I think today might be the first day all season that I've actually turned loose on a cold trail with not just my dogs. So
Oh,
um, I also take that into consideration a little bit too. Like, all right, is this a one-off fluky
that's your
deal, or
gimme.
is
Your
it,
mulligan.
yeah, or is it going to be a thing moving forward? So I don't know.
They'll
I
wait
think it's
about three
good that,
weeks, do it again, so you think you're
yeah,
done with it, and then
yeah. Hopefully, let's just hope it's the last time. But I
oh
I think that makes your dogs better too, though, when you are able to hunt them with different dogs and stuff, they get
yeah,
used to that. It's just challenging them in different ways. I think sometimes when you just hunt the same 4 or 5 dogs together all the time, they get comfortable and they look great. But now all of a sudden, when you do decide to go hunt with different dogs, um,
Mine are at my feet half the time.
it's a train wreck. Yeah. So, it's just one of them things
It's
one
a
of those
balance
things you
though,
fight through. Yep.
because I mean, you know it like I do. When you hunt alone, you get different things out of it. I mean, there is a huge value in hunting alone, and I would absolutely encourage everybody to do it. But
Yep.
we all like hunting with buddies. You know, like me and Brandon, we
Oh
used to
yeah.
hunt several nights a week every time. And then this last year, we went a few times together, but we were talking. It had been like, 6 months since the dogs had been together. And
Sure.
we went out and we got on, I think we got, well, I know we got on 3 fox that night. And, the first couple, they all ran all right, but it was not, they weren't firing, because his dogs are
Yep.
really good at what they do. Mine were firing. I'd been hunting them alone for, a while at that point. So I just had to straighten some things out in my pack and quit like waiting for other dogs to like do the hard work and then you jump in. Like you don't want to sit there and
Mm-hmm.
trail it. You want to stand in the road while somebody figures out which way it's going. Well, there's only one way to work a dog through that. So I was
Yep.
doing that. But those dogs, when they came together, the first two, they ran good. I would not take it away from them. But man, that third one, holy smokes. When those dogs figured it out, I mean, just those
Yep.
two races back together. And these are dogs that have hunted together anywhere from, I'm going to say 2 to 6 years together, 2 to 5 years. And just getting
Sure.
them reacclimated and under a couple, that was the best sounding race I've heard in probably 3 years. It was so freaking
Yep.
awesome because they got to have that. They got to be able to honor and know when to do it. And they got to be okay with dogs they don't know and not get stressed out.
Yep.
It's the same with a young dog getting babbly. A lot of the old dogs that I've seen, they'll either quit or they'll be at your feet. The dog that sits there and works through it, I mean, that's like a holy grail kind of deal.
Yep. Yeah. So during training season, a lot of times my cousin and Chris and I hunt separately. Separate, but we'll get together some, but like I'll start
Right.
a bait and he'll go start a bait. But as we start getting a little bit closer to our kill season, where during kill season, we're all hunting together all the time. We start to try to combine our packs a little bit more and make sure they're going to be used to hunting together.
When it comes time.
Because then during kill season, a lot of times most of the time you're just throwing your best dogs out, because you don't want to get in the way. Whereas training season, it's like, well, if we have something like this morning happen, oh well, we're
Right.
not out anything, and thankfully we've got plenty of bears around to run. So, it's not like that is our only option, and either that
Right.
goes well or we don't do anything for the day, So.
Well, and it's early season, but you've already been running. You just got
Oh yeah.
back. Didn't you just go to Canada again?
No, I didn't.
For
I
some
wish.
reason, I was thinking you slipped up there again. Somebody was saying it. You just went on the links hunt.
No.
You didn't go up and run bears.
Yeah. Correct. Yep. I would
I knew
like
Heath
to.
was
It would be
going. I
fun,
thought you were
but
going too for some reason.
no, I wish it's definitely on the bucket list, something to do, but it's hard for me to go somewhere right now because we can start running bears July 1st, and it's like, well,
Right.
why would I drive 30 hours to go run bears when I can
Right.
hunt at home, So,
And they'll let you
the
back
hunting
home.
by us is exactly. The hunting by us in July is tough to beat. I mean, I was just looking at we got a couple cell cameras out, and half of those baits already got hit this afternoon. So, I mean, it's
That's wild.
there's plenty of bears to run and I can expose dogs to so much here in a week. I think a lot of times in a week here I can expose dogs to more than a lot of guys can in a month. So
Yeah.
it's tough to pass up.
So I mean, that being said, you're running some younger dogs, aren't you? You weren't starting pups this year, but you had some
No, I don't have any. I've got a couple 2-year-olds. Yep.
2-year-olds.
2 year
So, I
olds.
mean,
Yep.
like when
And
people are talking about starting dogs and they're late starters, early starters, you got to keep in mind, like you just said, you can put those dogs on as much game in a short period of time as a lot of guys can do in a month. That makes a difference.
yeah.
It's
Oh
not
yeah.
age,
If
it's
I'm starting out
experience.
exactly, if I'm starting out a puppy, and say that puppy is 9 months old on July 1st, I mean, I'm expecting within the first 2 weeks of training season to have some,
Something.
something. I mean, it better be treeing, it better be running, it better be doing something. I'm not saying I expect it to be doing everything, but
Right.
I know within the first 2 weeks I've showed that dog at least 5 or 6 trees. It's gotten to see 5 or 6 bears. If it's not showing something within the first couple weeks, it's probably not a good sign. Um,
Right.
and a lot of times it's the first few days. I can show them 5, 6 bears in the first few days, just because
That's
there's a bunch of
crazy.
guys out. There's a bunch of guys out hunting, and one of them will say, "Oh, I just treed a bear here," so you run over there and run your puppies into that tree. Um, and you could do that a couple times a day if you want, if you're ambitious enough.
Right.
Um, so,
That's
so yeah, I expect a lot out of puppies in that first month. They should really come a long ways.
how the young dogs do.
They're doing really well. I was opening day, the first day of season. I had right behind my cabin. The bait was hit by a little bear, and it was uh, the bear was there at like 4:30 or something. I'm like, perfect. I don't even have to leave the yard. I can just let him go from here. Well, I made the mistake of not rechecking the camera before I turned out. So I cut him loose, and I actually ran my old dog Remy that day, and and then I had Willow. I have one of the 2 year olds lives in the house, and I just let her jump in the back seat of my truck, and I had the window down, and I didn't realize it. And she bailed out the window of my truck and ran in there too.
Oh
Um,
no.
but they went into the bait and they barked like 3 times, and then all of a sudden were bayed. Just long balls, like they're looking. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like,
Coon or
that bear
something?
was like 80 pounds. Like there is no way they caught that bear. Well, then we ended up piling into it and ended up walking a bear. It was probably 250 pounds. We walked it for, I don't know, 2, 3 hours, and I got within 50 yards of them, and I just called them. I just started
No
hollering and
way.
called them off. Well, then I go look at the camera, and that big bear came in like 3 minutes before I turned him out.
Oh.
So they ran right into it, basically.
Or
But that
would you have dumped on it anyway, or you're trying to get on small ones right
No,
now, aren't you?
I would have went to it. Would have went to a different bait, because thankfully none of my dogs got beat up. I didn't have to take any of them to the vet. But you're just asking for, in my opinion, some people are reckless. But I've
See,
got
I'm
really nothing to gain.
reckless.
I've got nothing to gain by that situation, and I've got plenty of other you know. Um, I don't like vet bills, and if I get them beat up on the first day, they're going to be out a month probably.
Right.
So, but that Willow, that uh 2 year old female I had last year, we were on a couple bay ups with her, and she didn't quit, but she didn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
Um, she'd leave a little bit and then go back, and I don't need to have dogs that are pulling hair. In fact, anymore, we've had this conversation
Right.
numerous times. I don't want that, but I don't want them to quit. But she just bayed her head off for solid for the 2 or 3 hours that we had that going. So I was extremely happy to see that. Um,
Nice.
Her mom, Izzy, who is 4 now, which she, I tried to cut her in because she got screwed up. I think she probably, now in hindsight, I think she probably went
She's
out on
running
the
the little
smaller
one.
one, and I called her back because she was going wrong, and I just wanted them to be all together. Well, then I ended up trying to cut her in, and she's not generally a great cut dog, but she'll go, if it's close, and especially
Right.
dogs she knows. And she wanted nothing to do with going. And I got thinking about it, and I'm like, you bitch, you knew that that bear was on the ground and you did not really want to be there, because then I walked her in and she walked next to me until I got 40 yards away from him. And then she finally went in and she did get into it a little bit, but then she'd come and check with me. So
Oh yeah,
she's a little shy on the guts, but she's probably the best bobcat dog I've ever been around. So, it's
she's a
like,
good track dog.
yeah, and she's a great bobcat dog. I mean, phenomenal. So it's like, well, I ain't getting rid of her. I mean,
Right.
she's, I mean,
Those are
you're
harder to
safe, but
find.
exactly. But the other dogs, if you're going to quit, you're probably going to be finding a different place to live. So I was really happy to see that Willow didn't quit. And then Moose got in there, or Moose was in there too. He's a 2-year-old, but he showed, he was on a couple BAPs last year, and I'm hoping he's not going to get to the other side of things where he's going to be going to the vet, because he's right there.
Bonsai.
Hard. Yeah. And on bobcats, I mean, he thinks he can take them out, which I don't love either.
That's almost
rather
worse.
not do that. Almost.
That's just carry your penicillin with you.
Yep. Exactly.
I swear.
So
Fancy got one in the cheek this year. Just a single, got like one fang. Or no, it was in her ear. And the whole ear, I mean, like I was checking, making sure
exploded.
she didn't get
Yep.
like a hematoma or nothing, but just instant swelling. They're so nasty.
I put mine on clindamycin. If I catch a bobcat on the ground, unless I know for sure they didn't get it, but I mean, if they got scratched up at all,
it got them.
yeah, I put them on clindamycin, and
Really,
yeah, cephalexin and clindamycin is what we mostly use. But my vet told me that cephalexin sometimes is not enough for a cat, for
really?
a cat deal. Most 90% of the time it's gonna knock it out. But he said that they can, if that cat is really dirty, that cephalexin might not quite do the trick. So
I'll have to keep that in mind because that's what we usually hit them with is cephalexin if they get
yep.
it.
Yeah,
Whether
I had done that for years, but yeah, it was just a couple of years ago. My vet said, yeah, if you're gonna keep something, keep clindamycin.
Really?
Just yeah.
I have to look through the cabinet.
Yep.
I've seen that before. I'm sure I got some. You got like the old dog meds tucked away, like
Oh yeah, I got
the rainy day emergency stash.
I got a cabinet at home. My wife calls it the vet cabinet. So I go in that vet cabinet, and because it's there's lots of stuff in there. So
Yep, that's what our boys know where it's at. Right above the utility sink.
yep.
Everything from banders and taggers to what is it? Oh, Ivermectin and all kinds of stuff.
Flea and tick stuff. I mean, you name it. Yep.
Diatomaceous. You use diatomaceous earth? Well,
I don't. I mean,
you're so
I've given some supplements that have it in, there, but
for like worming agent.
Yeah, and I've tried the just what the hell is it called? Like the gut health stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've got one hound that he gets. I mean, he'll look like an English pointer, and after a few weeks of running, he just doesn't hold weight very well at all. So, I've tried to do some stuff for gut health, and I don't know. I haven't really seen a big difference. But
did you try that Alpha Dog? Like I promise that ain't no sales pitch, but I mean now we're here.
I have done it.
The rebalance
5 years ago or so. I used some of that Alpha Dog. I haven't recently.
I didn't put all my dogs on it, but I put my older girls on it.
Sure.
For gut health and because I was switching feed, so it's really hard for me. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna give an honest opinion. I think when I changed what I changed, there was too much to like really tell an immediate. Like now that things are leveling out, because I switched over dog food to Next Level and Anuk Shook. I'm feeding like split pack right now.
Sure.
So I changed food, I changed serving size, but I did notice through that I didn't have any issues.
Sure.
So I'm going to attribute some of that to that alpha dog for sure.
For sure, yeah.
Because when you're going, like, I know I talked to you about this when I was looking at blends. Part of the reason I went with next level was because I always ran a 24/20 blend. I don't like super high protein unless it's like
Sure.
puppy feed or something like that. But I don't like it because I
Yep.
think it runs hot. It's hard on kidneys. There's not really a reason. And that Inukshuk is like what, 30,
30
is it
25
32?
or
30
there's a
25.
there's a 32 as well.
Yeah, I did the
Yep.
30/25. So I would assume like that would have pretty much rocked their socks any other time I've changed feed in the past. And really, I mean, we didn't have any kind of major blowouts or
You
anything like
you
that.
know though, I know several bird dog trainers that feed a Inukshuk, and the one main reason or one of the main reasons they do feed a Inukshuk is because they get dogs in and out all the time. And they're not going to, when they get a dog in for a month, they're not going to feed that dog. They're not going to have the owner send feed with it because
They
feeding
just
time
switch it.
feeding time is a pain in the ass if you
Oh,
are
yeah.
feeding 16 different dogs, 16 different feeds.
Two's
And
bad enough, let me tell you.
exactly. Yeah. And I know a girl that, that's actually who I buy my Inukshuk through. We just each buy a pallet at a time. But she says she likes it so much because when she gets a dog in and she switches them straight to a Inukshuk, she almost never has an issue.
Yeah.
And that's pretty rare because most of the time if you just up and switch a dog's
Oh,
feed,
it's
you're going to
crazy.
have issues. So
And
um,
that's what, when I did it, like I said, I switched everybody. So I'm feeding 6 plus the house dog. So I kind of split 3 and 3. And none of them had any issues.
yep,
And I will tell you, both of those bags that I opened, super impressed with quality wise, like moisture, the oil content, all of that. And I talk a bit with Brandon White. He's my next level guy,
sure,
and he was checking in with me, and I said they're doing really good on it. It's just it's hard for me to tell right now because I'm not running. Like, it's
yep,
literally 110 degrees and it's fire
yep,
season, and it's just not happening right now.
yep,
So as much as I hate doing it, I take a back seat with the hunting, and right now we're trying to finish some other stuff and get family stuff and full cry stuff and all that. So it's not really fair, but I will tell you, I was happy with both of them so far. Um, I'm interested to see what happens when we start running, because the high protein feeds in the past, like that 30/25 or whatever it is,
mm-hmm,
it's like they instantly go to a rail or they go rock hard. You know what I mean?
sure,
Like, the the fat content's still there on it, but I don't know if it's the high protein and the way they process it. I'm not a nutritionist,
yeah, me
but I
neither.
just know over the years what I've seen. I'm wondering what it'll look like.
I actually, that dog that gets super skinny, I started feeding him 32 just
Really?
just to try it. And I've had a couple guys, bird dog guys, that have had dogs that get rail thin too.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard some good things about it. So I got this last pallet I ordered. I got a few bags of it to
To
try it
try
because nothing
out.
else. Yeah, nothing else I've done with them. He eats like crazy. Um, he's healthy. He acts fine. He gets so skinny that like I almost feel bad.
Dude, it's
Like if
something. I swear we had blue ticks in our stuff and stuff off of the stuff that we bred that was, you could never put weight on them.
yeah,
Like,
but
something about them. I don't know if it was thyroid or just a high metabolism, or
I
you could feed them anything and they wouldn't put weight on.
I'm hoping. I think it's just. Well, I spent, I don't know, probably $800 at the vet doing a bunch of tests too. Thinking so. Every once in a while, he eats his shit a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes sense. My vet says that there's probably some
Lacking
nutrient
mineral.
that he's passing through and then he's basically eating that because his body didn't use something. So I I haven't had any luck so far pinning it down to figure out what it is. But then his mom, like, she got a little overweight on me here, and I got a hard time getting it off of her. I mean, she's like the
Oh
complete
yeah,
opposite. So I don't know. I think it's just high metabolism, but
I think
obviously,
so.
obviously there's something he's not taking full advantage of as well. So I don't
And
know.
when our
I just thought I'd try it. I got an extra 5-gallon bucket laying around that I threw a lid on and wrote 32 on it, and I just leave that sit right by his kennel. So
there you go.
so it's easy to scoop out of that just for him, and it's worth a shot. It seems. I mean, everything I've not that I've ever known anything about nutrition, but it seems like it would be too hot. But I also know people that have had good luck with it too. So I don't know. I know I've
Well,
been super happy with all the other. Now I feed 26-16 in the off season usually, and then 30-25 for everybody else. I just started this spring going to 26-16 in the off season just because a couple of my dogs
pork
in the
out.
off season, yeah, well, they'll look at food and they start getting fat.
Yeah.
Um, and I just felt like I was starving them. I was having to cut them back so much. So I didn't think there was quite a need to feed them 30-25 when they're, not doing much other than some training runs anyways. So,
Yeah, I
but
noticed those dogs that I put on it, they porked out like fast. And
yeah,
not in a good way. Like it was not muscle. They got porky because I
yeah,
was traveling too. So
yeah,
like you pre-measured the first day, right? And I've got it ready for my dog guy. Luckily, my old neighbor, man, he's a cool kid. Came out here. Like he's a go-getter, honest dude. Started his own landscaping business, like moved out here from PA. And they ended up moving probably 3 years ago, but he's always stayed in touch and he comes and takes care of the dogs and the pigs and all that when we're gone. But you know how it is when somebody else is feeding your dog, they're always
yeah,
getting more because they look at it and they're like, oh, you're only getting 2 cups of
yeah,
food.
yeah,
Well, I will tell you right now, 2 cups of food, that next level and the Inukshuk, dogs just started porking out on. And I'm like,
yeah,
no, off season, this ain't doing it. We got to back it down a little. So we're still kind of fluctuating, but
yeah. Well, and sometimes when the wife and kids feed the dogs, it's about the same way too. Like, oh, I'll give you a little extra. It's like, no, no extra.
oh no, I remember, where was I? I must have been at a trial because I only took some of the dogs. I come back and there's like a half bag of feed, and I want to say they're 50 pounders. I got the 50 pounders in next level, so I was down probably to 3/4 of a bag, and I come back after like 3 days, and it was almost empty. And I'm like, what the heck happened here? Oh my god! And even then, they didn't blow out. I was pretty surprised when you throw that much feed at a dog.
Yep. One thing I have noticed with the Nukshuk though, uh, their stool is always good,
Hard,
but when you are feeding them too much because it starts to loosen up pretty quick.
really.
Yep. If I especially because now I'll hunt hard for 3 or 4 days and then give them a few days off. And when I'm hunting hard, I'll add just a little bit extra. But if I like
Hmm.
keep that extra and then they're off for say 4 days, after a couple days, it'll start to loosen up a little bit. But then
Really?
as soon and I've my wife feeds the dog sometimes when I'm gone or whatever, and I told her I'm like, if they're loose at all, you fed them just a little too much, dial it back a little bit, and you dial it back a little bit, and boom, it's good
And
again.
they're good to go.
So yep. So I have noticed that and I haven't noticed that, with the other feeds that I've fed in the past, but with the Nookshuk, if you are feeding them too much, they're gonna let you know.
Well, there's a lot crammed in there. Really,
Yeah,
that stuff is like super high K cup. What is it
yeah.
like
That's the first.
695 or something? I don't quote me on that, but I know it's like ridiculously high. When we
Yeah,
calculated it out, like what you need to feed is minimal.
It's the first feed that I've ever, because I float, well, some of my dog's food, I float it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first feed that I've ever dumped water on, and that shit doesn't rise to the top. I mean,
Rock hard, right?
yep. So that tells you there's a lot to it, you know.
Mm-hmm. I hate switching dog foods,
I
but
know.
you got to do. I mean, like thinking through COVID, that was the worst part. You couldn't get the same dog food 2 weeks in a row,
I
and
know.
that's why I didn't want to buy a pallet. I ended up dragging home like 2,500 pounds of dog food for me, and I got some here, like if the local guys wanted or whatnot. But
Yep.
that's it's a lot of money. I'll tell you
I
that.
know.
And getting
Yep.
it, getting it home, having a place to store it, but to know that I have the same dog food all season and I'm not switching. That was the problem I ran into last time. It was just I knew I was going to run out and I couldn't make arrangements on it. So we started
Have to get
bouncing
a bag of
feeds.
this or a bag of that. Yep.
Yeah. And then, well, that's when I met Brandon. Well, I didn't meet him. I bumped back into him at Grand American. So we got talking and I said, I'll try it for 6 months. Like I'm willing to try it and see. And then we got that Inukshuk in at W, and I'm like, well, I'm going to try it too. So the jury's still out. I can tell you they're both
Sure.
really good feeds, and they're not
Yep.
sponsoring this in any way. If anybody thinks we're sales pitching, but I just have this conversation with like 4 or 5 guys here pretty recently that are switching dog foods and have been trying both of them. So
Yep.
Elijah, he said he went down and bought a bag of it, and I told him you can't be cheap. You got to buy at least 5 or 6.
Yep.
Try it
There's some
out.
truth to that. There's some truth to that. Using it for a week's not going to tell you much.
So I told him you'll be through that bag in about 3 days.
Yep.
So
I
what about like when you go hunting though, like after laying them up and you get back to running, do you notice with that high of a protein, like they clean out hard or like they get loose stooled hunting or do they stay pretty solid through all of
stays
that and the exertion?
pretty good. Um,
Really?
yeah, and when they're hunting a lot, I think they're only shitting like once a day. And even when they're
Yeah.
off, they'll shit twice a day, and that's it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I've been super happy with it. I've had this conversation with several houndsmen. There's different places that you can go buy dog food for 18-25 cents a pound, and
What?
I hunt with those people, and their dogs do well. I'm like, it's not like a dog food is going to take a mediocre dog, and turn him into a rock star. It just doesn't
No.
work like that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people sometimes, when they hear somebody like me talk really highly of a Inukshuk and stuff, I'm like, that's not the changes you're seeing in feeding a quality food. Um, I feed a lot less of it. Price per pound, it's higher than what I was feeding before, but I feed so much less of it. I'm still coming out, I'm coming out ahead in the end, and
Mm-hmm.
their stool's good, and um, hopefully they keep weight on better than other foods. It's not like it's going to make a dog that's not making races all of a sudden run at the front. It just doesn't quite work like that. But
No, it's like,
I wish
are
it
you gonna
did.
put in the premium or the regular? No. That's what I'm
Well,
trying to.
yeah. When you're running premium or regular, does your car run any different? I mean, not much. The changes are pretty subtle,
I
but
think I think when it comes to like figuring out your cost per feeding is what you got to do, and that's what I'm doing now. Is I'm tracking
yeah,
both because, like I said, the next level is a 50 pounder, or sorry, I think mine's a 40 pounder. The Inukshuk's what 33, so you got to figure out your cost
yep,
per feeding because weight
yep,
is irrelevant when it comes to like what they're packing in there and just trying to figure it out. And I think really it's pretty damn
yep,
close when you figure it out and you get down to the nitty gritty. Like I can tell you that Walker looking dog I got out here,
yep,
he's hard to keep weight on. He's just getting ready to turn 2, but I mean he's grown like a horse. He's big, and keeping weight on him was rough. So I switched him over and I started weighing it. And even him, it's about a pound. So that's probably right about 3 cups is what I got it figured out
Sure.
at. So I'm feeding all of my dogs I know are getting between point 0.7 and 1 pound. Like 0.98 pounds is what it worked out with the Walker dog. You think about it, you do the math, it really ain't that bad. That's like driving across the town 30 miles to go get gas because it's 2 cents cheaper a gallon. You know, like the difference
Yeah.
I think is going to be so close. It would just come down to a person's preference. But cost per feeding,
Sure.
man, like you said, don't figure cost per pound. And the next test, now that
Yeah.
I started fresh, I had to open a new bag last night. So after we cleaned kennels, because mine, it's always feed them, go take care of the rest of your crap, come back and clean, because it gives them time. They're kind of a once a day
Sure.
dog too.
Yep.
So now it's a fresh bag, so we can do a waist weight comparison, and I want to see
Sure.
how much is coming out. Now, granted, there might be one in there that's a
Coming out.
turd eater. I don't know. He might be throwing the skew off a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's amazing. It is a lot easier to clean the kennels when you feed a good feed. I don't care what you're feeding. If it's like I
Exactly.
fed high standard, I've fed black gold. I'm now feeding that next level and a Nookshook. We've done diamond and all of it. Dude, there's so many dog foods out there. Just make sure you're feeding something decent. It'll make your life a
Yeah.
lot easier and your kennel a lot better smelling.
And your dogs just look, I mean, mine just shine, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they're just shiny. You know, the coat health has been great too.
That's because you got them living in on your couch, giving Manny
Couple of
petties.
them, yeah. I'm staring at a bird dog right now. Well, this Willow, this hound that's inside. I've been giving her a bath once a day because I know I've talked about this in the past too. The reason she's in the house is because she's got
She's got a
allergies
weird
so bad.
allergy.
Yeah, and my vet gave me this shampoo to try. You're supposed to do it two to three times a week. I'm like, well, that ain't gonna happen. But I've been giving her a bath once a week, and it actually has helped. Um, but it works out pretty good, you know, because I'll hunt hard for 4 days or something, and then I go home and I'll give her a bath. And then she'll be in the house for 2 3 days while we're recovering and
Right?
waiting to go the next time, you know. And then I hunt her for 4 days, and now she's got swamp mud and stuff all over her. So I'll give her a bath when we get home, and I think it's helped, but it's still I don't know.
Is it like
She's two
hot
and a half,
spots?
and
Or like elephant skin? I call it. I don't know. Like where their skin gets thick and puffy. Have you
no,
seen that?
but I don't know that I've let it get that bad. Like she'll get really greasy and stinks, and she gets ear infections all the time.
Yeah.
Um, I had an allergy panel done on her, and she is literally allergic to everything. Like the only protein she's not allergic to is rabbits. Um, Chicken is way down on the scale, and an Inukshuk is a chicken based. So that's kind of another reason that I've
Right.
been feeding that, hoping that helps. Um, but I mean, environmental stuff. I mean, you name it. Like it's when I thought I'll get this allergy panel done, then I'll know what to eliminate. Well, I saw that allergy panel and I'm like, well, Jesus, I can't,
Where do we
it's
start?
everything. So yeah, put her in a bubble. I mean, and feed her
Yeah.
rabbits. I mean, that's it. So, I've just been trying to manage it. It's expensive. Um,
Is it like an
I really like the
antifungal
dog.
shampoo?
Yeah. Yep.
Like do they think because like we always I don't want to say I saw it a lot, but I'm gonna say on probably 3 dogs over the years, and they were all blue ticks that we owned. It's like they would randomly get a weird, like I said, elephant skin almost. Like everything would just kind of get puffy and they'd get really yeasty smelling, and it's
Sure.
like they just breeded yeast and we'd have to wash them like that too. Like we'd use, first it
Itched a
was
lot.
Selsun Blue. Yeah. Yeah. Itched a ton. So it was like Selsun Blue and Murphy's Oil soap. And, like at some point we had to go and get prescription grade stuff. And it did help, but it was weird. It was a real random thing, but they would just get that smell.
We get it. We've had a couple dogs with it over the years. It's random. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so random. It's hard to put your finger on to try to eliminate it. I had her spayed
right.
right when I knew that it happened. I'm like, I'm not breeding this dog. Um, it's an antimicrobial and anti-seborrheic shampoo.
Big words.
There's ben yeah, benzoyl peroxide and salicylic acid in it.
Hmm.
But it's weird. It's not like, most shampoo just starts to lather up, and get all it doesn't do that. It's kind
Mm-mm.
of weird and harder to
It's like
apply.
greasy
Um,
almost.
but yeah, and you need a lot of it, comparatively speaking to what you normally would, but it definitely helps. Um, her ear infections since I've been doing this have gotten way better. Um,
I think
it's
that's
not
what a lot of
constantly.
ours attributed to. Because I had a couple of those long eared dogs. We had Dale. He
Yep.
was Finley River Walker on Cameron Blue Tick, and his ears were mile and a half long, like black and tan long. You know, and he ended up to the point he got such bad chronic ear infections. It was constant, and you
Yep.
noticed it after that yeast outbreak. Because, like I said, they'd be good for a while, but then it's like once it got to their ear, that was a lot harder, and you'd tell it they'd start
Yep.
head ticking or
Yep.
not wanting to tree as hard, and you think at the time I thought, oh, it's straw mites or it's ear mites or something, but it ended up being like a deep inner ear thing.
Yep.
And they did all
Yep.
kinds of crazy stuff to try to fix it too. I mean, we dumped a ton of money in that dog, more than I probably should have, but he was my first so-called good one. I'll say, like, loosely, he's the one that wouldn't run a track till he was 2, but
Sure.
he was cold nose, man. And you knew when he
Yep.
was rigging if it was in front of the truck a mile or behind the truck too. Like just the way he danced around, it was cool. I didn't mean to drag us down like a whole
Sure.
nutrition healthcare section here, but
Oh
just kind
yeah.
of led into
Yeah,
that.
covered we've covered several things here.
It started off because
Yeah,
before
it's
I hit record, Ross had a tick crawling on him, and it brought up the Lyme's disease, and it just kind of went downhill from there.
yeah, we've been all over the map.
Are the ticks bad out there this
That's
year?
it though. Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. Bugs, I mean everything's bad this year. It's been a really wet spring and um all spring and beginning of summer, and I think it's been just a breeding hotspot
Yeah,
for
no kidding.
everything, all ticks and bugs. And now we are starting to dry out a little bit, and it's getting hot now.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate it when it gets like that generally, but this year everything is so wet, and we almost need it to happen for a
Soggy.
little while. But yeah, I'm gonna hunt tomorrow, and then we got a couple days where it's gonna be in the 90s and not like a low of 70 at night, and
Right.
it's just I'm sure it's the humidity
It's
is gonna
too
be up
hot.
there. So yeah, I'm just gonna. I mean, guys will hunt through that right away in the morning, but being that I can kind of go whenever I want. When I see it's like that, I'm like, screw it, man. I'll just wait till it gets better.
No
Um,
kidding. Some guys don't have
but
that luxury.
if you're a weekend warrior, yeah, exactly. If you're a weekend warrior, you got to take what you can get. So
For sure.
I
You got
get
any
it, but
trips
yeah,
coming up?
I'm gonna let her. No, I don't. I'll go out to Montana as soon as bear season's over. Bird hunting.
Bird
I
hunting,
did
right?
rebook to. Yeah, I did rebook another lynx hunt, not this coming winter, but in 25. So um,
Really?
I'm looking forward to that. I got some couple buddies from Wisconsin here that are going to go out there with me, and I think we're going to end up with three groups out there the same week with Stuart. So um,
I want to go so bad. I just want to go on the dirt, like early,
yeah,
early season. I would love to. I would
yeah,
have. That's my dream. I want to go bear ground a lynx in Canada. I just think it'd be cool.
Yeah, well, we basically had that the start of our hunt last year.
That's right. You had rough weather there.
Yeah, it was rough and not far away from us where Cody Lostro was and stuff. They had no snow. The snow we had was minimal and sugar, so it was
Yeah,
might as well call it. Actually, we probably would have been better off having bare ground. Um,
right.
but yeah, it's going to be a long year and a half waiting for that. I'm already excited about it.
Dude, I
I
know I
can't
hear you
wait.
guys talk about it, and now I'm like, I really want to go.
Well, put it on your calendar for 25. I think Buddy said he's going to try to get up there the same week again. So we should have a pretty good crew.
Yeah,
Um,
he leaves me home every year for some reason. I get stuck here. I got offered it in 2020 and I was not going to get the pokey poke. So I ended up sitting my butt here
yeah.
in the States. But one of these days
Yep.
I'd like to. This year I'm really, really
Yeah.
hoping to get down to Nevada bad. I I've been talking with Roger about it for years, and me and Brandon have talked about it, and it's like, dude, we're literally 5 hours away. It's just when it's so close you kind of want to wait for
Yep.
good weather. And now it's like you almost just kind of got to plan the weekend and do it. So now that
Yeah.
Roger and his wife had my little hunting buddy, we'll come down and visit and go chase some lions and spoil a baby.
That'll be
Well,
I'm gonna try to get to New Mexico. I got invited to go to New Mexico last February. Um, and if I get that same invite this year, I'm loading my shit up and going. I had to have neck surgery when I got invited this last February, so I couldn't make it. But if I get that same invite this year, I'm going to be going because it's pretty slow around here in February. Our cat season's over and guys are
right.
hunting coyotes and stuff. But if I could load up and go somewhere new, especially somewhere a little bit warmer and run lions,
Where at
I
down
definitely.
there? Or can you say?
Uh,
Like, don't say if it's going to get somebody in
it's
trouble.
on the Colorado border. Um,
Okay.
yeah, that's all I'll say for now. I can tell you offline.
That's all you're getting from me. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I want to get down there really
So
bad. I was hoping to get to that Houndsman rendezvous in Arizona, but it's super close to Autumn Oaks, and I'm going to be at that one.
sure.
And I keep talking with Brett Vaughn. One of these days, I want to get down because he's like right down on the border, like Las Cruces. And he's like, just come on
Yep.
down. I would love to go just like see that big open
See it.
nothing.
I know. Yeah, me too.
That's all I want to do. I want to go see it. I said he's got to get me a good mule though. And he says, "Oh, we'll find you a mule." I said, "No, I said a
Sure
good
footed.
one." It'd be fun though. I miss when we used to bounce around and hunt a lot. Like there for several years, me and Brandon would bounce around a ton. Like is a great hunting partner because he kind of pushes you when you need it.
Sure.
You
Yep.
know, like he'll poke it. You know, some nights you get sick of seeing the pictures come in, and it's like, God dang it, I just need to go. Because
Yep.
if you don't, you kind of just get stagnant. And we used to hunt, like we'd be hunting here in Southern Oregon. Then the next morning we'd be over east, and then we'd
Yep.
be making the loop back around, or we'd go hunt NorCal, come back up. It's like you were just always going and trying to find different areas. Like here, we can be high desert, tall mountain timber, ferny, bluffy, wet coastal crap. You can be all of that within like 3 hours of driving. So you could bounce around and you could really test dogs. And it was
Yep.
it was a lot of fun.
Let me guess, that was before you had kids.
You know, I can't say that. It was after children, but before I got some things in order, we'll say. I don't know how else to
Sure.
say that. Uh, I was definitely prioritizing dogs those years. Which is what they
Yeah.
needed, and that's how I got what I got. Was he took me under his wing? Like that dude showed me a lot about running varmints, and
Yeah.
and I was lucky enough to hunt with some top notch dogs, and then my dogs learned from it, and they were good breeding. A lot of them are related, but that's just it takes the time. And if you're given
Yeah,
time, it's taken from somewhere else. And now
for
we're at the
sure.
point we got 4 kids, we got full cry, we got,
Yep.
you know, mom or my wife's mother passed and my father passed. So it's like we got 2 sets of parents and old people to take care of,
Yep.
which it's like, you're thankful they're all still here and you can do that. But at the same time, it's like, holy crap, I haven't been to the woods in 3 months. Like, I
Yeah,
just need to go
sometimes
run them
life
down a
gets in the
dirt
way.
road.
Yep.
You know how it is. You're
I
bird
know.
dogging
Yeah.
too. I'm sure it's real fun around your place when you're bird dogging and hound dogging, huh?
Well, yeah, now my kids are all getting to that age where they're in sports. I mean, we're at the ball diamond 3 nights
Dude,
a week, so I'm up here hunting and then I'll run home for a softball game in the evening or something, and it's going to get worse.
dude,
As
it's
my kids get
crazy.
older, it's going to get worse too. And thankfully, I can kind of hunt whenever I want. I've got a job that allows me to do that, and otherwise
You got
otherwise
it
it,
figured
it
out.
gets tough. Well, or I've just been lucky, one of the two. I mean,
Take it, man.
I'll take it, whatever it is, I'll take it for sure. Because there would be times that it would be hard to train dogs and run dogs and stuff if I wasn't able to kind of go whenever I wanted. So,
You know, something that stuck with me, and like, I'm sure you remember Buddy's friend Don Gilbert. He did like one of our first podcasts. He did a couple with
yep,
us, and dude was a cat hunter. Um, what did he say? He says when he goes, those dogs get 100% of the attention 100% of the time he can dedicate to them. And he was talking about how in his life there were times he could hunt a lot and there were times he couldn't hunt a lot, given
hmm,
situations at home and not being able to get away. But he said if you can go out and you can give him 100% when you can give it, that's what
yep,
you do. So I encourage all y'all, if you don't have children yet and you want to make dogs, it's a lot easier when you don't have a bunch of kids at home. But you just got to make the time and shut it off and get out there and get after it.
yep,
But that's rough, man. I'll tell you, when we're driving around
yeah,
and it's 2 in the morning and we haven't started a track yet, and I got to be at work at 7, that's rough. Because I got a hard
yep,
cutoff. If I'm not, if I don't have one caught or started by 2 in the morning, I start driving out. And of
yep,
course, you're hunting all the way out. Three's the hard cutoff because I mean, at 3, you're kind of hosed. Like you're pushing it. Because I'm at
sure,
least an hour drive back home. I got to get dogs put away, fed, get through the gauntlet of kids to get to my office and go to work on, 2 hours of sleep or whatever.
that's crazy.
Dude, it's what you got to do. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And I've been slacking at it. I've been lazy lately. Like I said, though, it's so hot. It ain't worth it.
yeah. It's hard to get motivated when the weather's like that.
Unless we were like you guys, you bring me back bear hunting. Dude, I miss bear hunting so much. It's just out here, it kills me. We can kill 3 a year and you can't run dogs on them. Because
Yeah,
I would go right back to it. If we could
yep,
run bears again, I'd have bear dogs,
for
but
sure.
not in the cards. And traveling, it
No,
makes it tough because I want to come out to Idaho. I put in for my Idaho permit, and I'll, hopefully be going down to Nevada for cat. But it's hard because you just hope they take it, and it doesn't make me feel real good when I rode the dogs down and they check a coon. I'm like, all right. In all fairness, you've never seen one, but I've never had a dog check a coon before. Like they're so fox minded. I
sure.
feel like even cats sometimes, unless it's a good one. I mean, they'll run a bobcat on the dirt, but like I said, they're one track mind, and I'm like, this is gonna suck. I'm gonna draw a tag in Idaho, and I'm gonna go up there, and I'm not gonna have a dog that'll run anything.
Yeah.
So I got some phone numbers. I got buddies. We'll take a puppy up there and just
Well, yeah, you
screw
got
the whole program up.
yeah. Even my buddies from Wisconsin that are going to British Columbia, like they're because we're kind of splitting up some, and I keep telling them your dogs are going to be just fine, and I was the same way before I went, like, man,
Oh, I
they've
know.
never run a lynx, whatever, you're worried about it, but I told them, I'm like, they're going to be just fine, and if we we kind of hunt together, but separate anyways. I mean, you should get plenty of opportunities. So but I get it because I was the same way. And when you go somewhere different, the last thing you want to do is invest all that time and of course some money too, and then your dogs just fall flat on their face and not do anything, because then you're thinking, geez, I wasted this for nothing. Um, but part of
Not
the
for
fun is
nothing.
just, yeah, part of the fun is just seeing too, challenging yourself, challenging your dogs, and see what happens.
Go up and catch a couple lynx, and then you just go back every year. Is that going
Well,
to be like your pilgrimage now?
my wife is worried. She's like, don't tell me you're going every year. I'm like, if it wasn't 36-hour drive, I probably would, but it's just too far to go every year. And like I said, my kids, that's during basketball season, and my kids are getting pretty big into basketball. Um,
Yeah.
so I booked in 25, but I got roped into coaching too. Um, so I'm going to go back in 25, but I kind of got a feeling that might be my last hurrah for a little bit, just because my kids will be getting older, um,
Yeah.
and their basketball seasons will be pretty hot and heavy then. So um,
Sports, man.
I would love to. If it was 18 hours, if it was half as far, I would definitely go every year. But
36 hours
it's
is a
not.
trip,
So
dude. It blows my mind, like the people that never leave a 10
it's
mile radius of their home. And I'm telling you, from my doorstep, I had to pick a dog up on the way from Buddy, like before I even worked for him. I left my house, picked the dog up from Buddy in Portland, and then drove to Mineral Point, Wisconsin. And it was 36 hours.
yeah, that's not too far for me.
Yeah. We made it to, where did we make it to? Helena? Straight through. I mean, it
Yep.
was ridiculous. I probably fell asleep back then, but now I know I fall asleep. I couldn't do that
Yep.
anymore. That is a trip, man. Indiana was
Well,
the same way. That
I get
Richmond,
tunnel vision when I'm
yeah,
driving. Like, we're going. Like, I'm not pissing around. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to drive straight through, but I'm getting in that truck and we're knocking at least 14, 16 hours out. And then we're going to pull over.
exactly.
We're going to sleep hard for 6 hours, and then we're back in and going again.
If
And
you're lucky,
we only
yeah.
stop when we need, yeah, we only stop when we need fuel. So you better take a piss when we stop, because we're not getting
Yep.
back on the interstate and driving for an hour and getting off. So
The
yeah,
boys are pretty trained at this point. Like they know when dad gets in the car, we're getting where we're going. Even that trip
yeah,
to Idaho a couple weeks ago, we picked that dog up. So we were going to make it to like Lapine or Bend or something and stay the night, then drive over in the morning. But I'm like, I'm still going to be awake for 4 or 5 hours. We're just going to drive.
yeah.
So all of a sudden, benchmark A, stopping point gets moved to here, to here, to here, to here. Next thing you know, I'm at my destination 12 hours early or whatever it was.
Yep.
But once you get on the road and rolling, I did fall asleep. I mean, I know I've fallen asleep more than once, and I had to really be cautious about it. As I got older, I realized it, because I know Brandon's told me coming
Yeah.
back home from, where were we? We must have been in Modesto, down at one of the banquets or a field trial. It was a field trial because I had the trailer on. So I'm hauling a 16-foot trailer. We're coming across Lake Shasta. And apparently him and his wife, who was in the back seat, are having a conversation about if I'm awake or not, because my eyes are open. But I'm
Oh
just
boy.
like cruising. And he's like, grabs the wheel and kind of, hey, you good? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm good. He's like, dude, you were totally out. And we're doing like, I'm not going to say how fast we were going, 55 miles an hour, because we were towing a trailer in the state of California. And that was like an eye opener, man. Like I can't do those, but 12,
Yeah.
12, 14 hours. Yeah. Make it worth the drive.
Yep.
So Ben Sheets, I was talking with him. He's like, dude, how far do you drive? I can be across like 3 states in 5 hours. I'm like, yeah, it ain't like that out here, man. There's a lot of country.
Yeah. Like you could drive across Montana. That's like a day and a half just going across Montana.
Dude,
that's a haul.
I would like to meet you in Montana one of these years on the bird hunt, just to come see it, because I've honestly never walked behind a bird dog.
You're more than
Pheasants
welcome
everywhere.
anytime. Sharptails is what I mostly go after, but there is tons of pheasants too.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these years, we need to just do a big old get together.
Yeah.
Those guys putting the
Well,
rendezvous together. I hope stuff like that starts taking off. Have your
yep.
banquets, have your field trials, but like there's something about just getting together without competition in mind or
And there seems to be, like you said, more of that popping up all the time.
mm-hmm. We're trying to get our second
Yep.
one in here in Oregon, but the weather's probably going to screw us. Once fire danger hits, they shut down the place. Because we do it at an
Sure.
old lumber mill or like lumber yard. It's cool. It's this big old built like wood barn. And then you kind of run the trial outside of that, but it's like central camping. And we only had probably 50 people there last year. But still, we did freeze branding and we did some starting box training and stuff like that. But it was just a good excuse to get a
Yep.
bunch of guys together. And then the Arizona one, I still may. I don't know. I would really like to go because I know who all's going. But that would be a fun one. Just a bunch of old lion hunters kicking around and BS and shooting the breeze.
Yeah. That's
But
something that I need to do too at Bear Ground, southern New Mexico or Arizona stuff. One of
it's
these
wild.
years. I don't know. I'll take my dogs. I don't know that they'll be worth shit at it, but
What you need to do is you
they'll
start
get some
need to train
exercise.
an extra dog. So when you go to Canada, you can just sell one off and pay for your trip.
I'm actually we got a litter of puppies on the ground right now, and I'm going to keep 2 of them, and they should be this winter. I mean, they'll be a little bit young for hunting, but they should be all right for cat hunting. But I'm hoping to keep 2, and then or I'm gonna take 2 of them, and I'm hoping to get them both going this winter on cats, and then just pick which one I like the best, or whatever, and sell one of them. So,
Right on.
but I don't. I get a hard time letting go of dogs. I mean,
Yeah, I get it.
I don't do this to make money. So, if I like the dog and it does what I want it to do, there's probably almost not a price tag in the world that would make me get rid of it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think it does up your odds though. This will be the second time I've done this now, where I keep 2 or 3 pups and then get rid of 1 or 2, and I think it probably ups your odds a little bit on getting what you like. But
You would think you would think that, but
yeah,
I can't seem to make it work. Like I got 3 that are young now, like two and under, and they were kind of born in the wrong time of year. But it's like, yeah, if 1 out of the 3 really makes what I want, I'll be really happy. You know,
yeah,
I hope
yeah,
so. I think at least one of them I'm really liking so far. The other ones, I like them, but they're going to have to show some pretty rapid improvement. And I think that's the hardest
sure,
when you got one that performs better. If you're keeping 2 or 3,
yeah,
it's almost like you make your decision anyway. Like if you told me
yeah,
choose right now, I know which dog I'm going to tell you, but
yeah,
it's like trying to figure out who just needs that one night, that one experience to flip the switch, and it's
yep,
totally different ball game. You
yep.
just hope and pray it works out, especially when it's like this one
And
that
unless you
I've
keep
got.
them,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
and unless you keep them until they're 3 years old, you don't, you know, the sometimes they finish a lot better than they start, and
That's the truth.
sometimes they start quick, and they kind of are what they are.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you
And
keep
it's
them until they're about 3, you're not going to know completely what you got.
yeah, no kidding. Twitch, she's 3, and she's probably 3.5 by now. And I'm telling you, she didn't tree a lick till she was 3 years old. Not one
Yeah.
bark. And I'm in one night, just boom, changes. I'm like, okay, this is
Yep.
nice. I'm glad I waited around. Good thing my kids are attached to you. But
Yep.
it's hard. Young dogs. I hate it. I love it and I hate it. I just hate having to compare, especially when I keep males and females. Like, do you notice? Like, it seems like my males are always
Sure.
they show more earlier in some ways. Like, I don't know if it's a false sense of confidence in them or what, but like,
Yep.
there's this weird plateau. It's like growth, and then they're stagnant, and then you watch the other ones come up, and it's like, when is that intersection point going to happen? Because that's when you start seeing what kind of dogs they're really going to be. And that's why I'm hoping, like the male is almost 2 years old, and I got no complaints. You know, he doesn't bark out of place. He's making all the races. He's doing his parts. But I'm glad he's got an extra 6 months to kind of mature out a little bit and see how he comes back after what I put him on this last fall. But you never know. I don't know. I can't ever keep one puppy.
No. Yep.
Well, I kept you on here longer than I probably should have, man.
That's all right.
You ready for another nap?
About dinner time. I think I'm going to run over to Chris's and get some dinner.
Don't give him a bad time for me.
I will. I'll do that.
We'll have to catch up again, man.
Yeah, maybe in a couple months after bear season or something.
Should have get some train wrecks.
Well, I try to avoid them, but sometimes they're inevitable.
No, I'm waiting for like a big old black Volkswagen rolling through a cornfield, getting bait up. I like those stories.
Yeah, there's that might happen for sure.